fine. I'll make a Dark Magician video. Okay, you win. You win. Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm making a video about Dark Magician, and it is a particularly important video for people who are returning to the game because they know that Magnificent Monsters is around the corner, they know that brand new Dark Magician support is dropping, and they're deciding to get back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Start playing the new Dark Magician cards, start winning YCSs with Dark Magician of the Year of our Lord 2026, because why not? How could we not with such broken cards? There's a Dark Magician trap you need to be aware of. Now, this trap has close to a 100% win rate, by the way, if it resolves. It is by far the most effective, by far the most destructive trap in Dark Magician's arsenal. And like I said, if this trap resolves, you're looking at a 99% win rate for your opponent, unfortunately. Bear with me. Now, before we dive into that, I just want to quickly go over the new support so that we're all on the same page in terms of what's coming in Magnificent Monsters. I have also included the 3 support cards we got in Maze of Muertos, purely because, while they're not new, we're going to see them being used in the Dark Magician deck, let's face it, for the first time since they dropped, because this has just basically been a 70, 80 pound bridge for the longest time. And people even stopped using Gaze of Timaeus because it was a bad draw, let's face it. So yes, you could get a Dragoon on the field, but people want the decks to be consistent these days, so we didn't even see use for Timaeus, not really. It was just demod as a bridge into everything, as it turns out, because why not? So let's just start there quickly. We've got Dark Magician of Destruction, which we're going to start seeing in actual Dark Magician decks. Same for Gaze of Timaeus. There's other targets other than Dragoon. We've got Master of Chaos. We've got the United Dragon. There's other options in an actual Dark Magician deck for these cards. Weirdly enough, I do actually think Dark Magic Talisman isn't terrible. I genuinely think this could be a solid card for going first as a way to beat Droll. And even though you would draw on res, if you've seen my video on turn player priority, you will know and you will understand that even a card like Dark Magic Talisman can still beat Droll as long as you understand how to use turn player priority properly. If you haven't seen that video, go and check it out. But what we're here for is the new cards, right? The actual new support. First up, we've got Dark Magical Curtain. Quick play spell. Spells are important for the Dark Magician archetype, of course, so we're already onto a winner. Both players can special summon 1 Dark Spellcaster monster from the hand or deck. Neither player can activate their effects this turn. Now, it's important to note, if that card you've summoned leaves the field, its effects can then be activated. I know there's been some confusion about that. So once the card hits the field, can't activate its effects, but then if that card goes to the graveyard and gets resummoned, you can activate that card's effects. Very important. Then if you summoned a monster whose original name is Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, you can add 1 spell or trap that mentions Dark Magician from your deck to your hand. So pretty strong card, gets you a body onto the field, which can be turned into a demod. Not only that, if you've summoned the OG Dark Magician or the OG Dark Magician Girl, because it's whose original name, right? You can't cheat. Then you get to search another card, another spell or trap that mentions Dark Magician. So it's a starter, it's an extender, by far and away the star of the show for the 3 new cards, in my view. You've got Kuriboh-Multiply, which I hate to be the person out here breaking people's hearts. This is just god-awful. I've seen some heated discussions about this card. The validity or the general usability, viability of this card. I'm just regurgitating a thesaurus at this point, sorry. And for me, I come down on the side of absolutely pointless. The issue we've got is the way this card works. When your opponent activates a monster effect, or opponent's monster declares an attack, quick effect, special summon it from your hand. Okay, cool. You cannot do that once per turn. Then, when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, or during damage calculation when the opponent's monster attacks, you can add to your hand or special summon from your deck 1 Dark Magician or one monster with 300 attack, 200 defense. So Kuriboh stats, basically. So let's just have a look at... It's detonating Kuriboh, isn't it? I do apologise. So let's just have a look. You've got the detonating Kuriboh. So when your opponent activates a monster effect in hand, what you can then do... Sorry, other way around. So when the opponent activates a monster effect, right, special summon this guy from your hand. Goes to the field. Then, when your opponent activates a second monster effect on the field, this chat triggers to special summon the detonating Kuriboh. When your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, quick effect, you can equip this card you control to that opponent's monster as an equip spell with the following effects. It gets negated, right? That's the kind of takeaway here. And so basically what we've got is, if your opponent does a thing, and then does another thing, you get to summon a detonating Kuriboh, which can negate the effect of a monster that's on the field. And I'm sorry to say it, that's just god awful, because you would rather just open an Ash over this instead. And I know there'll be people saying, oh, but it can summon Dark Magician. So what? Like, honestly, so what? You're summoning a vanilla Dark Magician on their turn, and then what? Like, what is the point? You play it into Thrust as well for a start. Cards that gain extra value when you control a monster. And if that monster you're summoning is a monster that does something, right? Let's look at, for example, the K9 strategy. Yes, it would summon during your turn, but those monsters did something. And they did something quickly, right? It was a one and done. One effect activated by your opponent. Bam. Now you get to do things that actually do things. Whereas with this, your opponent has to play into this in multiple stages. And then what? You get to summon this. Or you get to summon, and this is absolute slander, I appreciate, but you summoned a Dark Magician. Like, this isn't the anime. This isn't Battle City, right? And this does... I'm getting too carried away. I need to have a moment. It's the additional coffee I had this morning. I broke my rule and had caffeine past 12 o'clock, so we're all doomed, right? I understand we want this guy in our deck, and we do, by the way. I'll show you why. But this into this, or this into this, it's not it, I'm afraid. You'd just be better off having an effect veiler to negate the first thing they try and do, rather than letting them play, and then summoning this guy, and then you've got a body on the field, which makes, again, cards like Thrust, Live, etc. Anyway, that's enough Kuriboh slander. For what it's worth, and this is a separate video, I do actually think this is quite good in the Power Patron deck, unironically. Different video. Moving on, we have Dark Magician, the Pharaoh Servant. A good card, but I don't think it's quite as good as Dark Magical Curtain. We'll get there. So, he becomes Dark Magician, identifies as Dark Magician while he's on the field or in the graveyard. Once per turn. Named once per turn, hard once per turn. If this card's in your hand, reveal one spell, special summon this card. Then you can set one spell or trap that mentions Dark Magician from your deck. Quick effect: discard one spell, destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. So this is a high quality card, right? Let's just be clear. It has multiple effects. It's a starter. It's an extender. It's a good card. Now, the only reason I'm not quite waxing lyrical about this in the same way that I am Dark Magical Curtain. Now, don't get me wrong, I desperately hope to pull a Grandmaster serialized rare of one of these guys, because that would just be amazing, wouldn't it? But the big differentiator I'm making here is that you have to set the card rather than adding it to your hand like you would with Dark Magical Curtain. Why do we care about that? We care about that because the best Dark Magician cards, in my view, in my opinion, are quick plays rather than continuous spells or normal spells. Now, don't get me wrong, some of them have use cases, and we're about to get to this because it does all tie into what we were just talking about in terms of the ultimate Dark Magician trap that actually stops you from winning games rather than affecting your opponent. The cards that we set from this can't really be quick plays if we want to use them this turn. Now we can set a gaze of Timaeus at the end of our combo, which isn't terrible, right? Even cycle through 2 gaze of Timaeuses in a obviously one during your turn, a second that's set during their turn, right? It's not terrible. It's definitely a play. But then you're running 2 gaze of Timaeus in your deck, which again ties back into the ultimate trap, and you're probably starting to realize what I'm talking about now. But the new support that's coming is definitely going to make things interesting. It's definitely going to inspire a lot of people to start taking Dark Magician to locals. But if you're a returning player, what I don't want to see for you is that you spend a small fortune getting back into the game, getting all the staples, maybe even getting yourself 3 copies of Dominus Impulse, 3 copies of Dominus Spark, right? And then go X4 at locals. I don't want that for you. So let me show you what in my mind is the ultimate and most effective Dark Magician trap. So let me show you how the ultimate Dark Magician trap works. It's got a 99% win rate. We activate Dark Magical Curtain. We special summon from our deck the OG Dark Magician himself. We now get to add the bond between teacher and student. We're going to summon Demod. We will use his effect to get ourselves a copy of the Rod. We'll normal summon the Rod. We'll use his effect to get ourselves the Sage's Stone. We're going to activate bond between teacher and student, getting ourselves a copy of Dark Magician Girl. We've got 3 in our deck to make sure we've definitely got enough. We're going to set, let's see, we'll set Dark Burning Magic, because read this, right? It destroys all cards your opponent controls. It's broken. Quick effect Raigeki and Harpy's Feather Duster. They'd have no chance. We're going to activate Sage's Stone. We're going to summon another Dark Magician. We've got 3 of them as well to make sure we don't run out. And let's just... Right, I've exaggerated this slightly, and I'm going to pause and just say at this moment, I'm not looking to criticize anybody who gets enjoyment from the game by playing like this, right? If that's you, and you've reached this point in the video and you're feeling somewhat attacked or slandered, then you're not the target audience for this video, and that's okay. Genuinely not trying to upset anybody. However, if you have made it this far in the video, there is a solid chance that you are, 1, going to play Dark Magician once the new support arrives, and 2, you want to win games as well. Now, I'm not saying you think you're going to go and win a YCS with Dark Magician. I'd love to, don't get me wrong, but I certainly don't imagine it's happening anytime soon, particularly when you've got the ultimate and most just disgusting archetype possibly ever about to release. Let's not get into that. But if you're wanting to play Dark Magician and you're wanting to win games, right, at least at locals, you don't want to spend all this money on Dark Magician cards and then lose to a structure deck at locals. And the thing is if you play like this, you will. And if anybody's saying, oh, that's not, then try it and play against somebody who's running 3 of the Mitsurugi structure deck, for argument's sake, and you'll just get obliterated, which is fine if that's what you're going for. But this, in a nutshell, sums up what is the ultimate Dark Magician trap, because at this point, think of how many summons we've just done. Think of how we've just been spinning our wheels, right? And what have we got? We've got a Dark Magician of Destruction. Oh, that's funny. It does absolutely nothing during our opponent's turn. That's fine then, there's more monsters. Magician's Rod. Tribute, one spellcaster monster, add it to your hand, and then that will... Oh yeah, also do absolutely nothing, but that's fine, because we've got Yugi's Haste monsters on the field. Surely they've got no chance. Gains 300 attack for every Dark Magician or Black Magic gift. Well, that's fine, because we've got our main man, Dark Magician, right? And his effect, anyway, he's the ultimate wizard. Ah, no, I've just forgot. We're definitely going to win, because we've got Dark Burning Magic. Destroy all cards your opponent controls. Broken. Except if you control monsters whose original names. So you can't even use the new substitutes with the Dark Burning Magic. You have to have the OG Dark Magician Girl, the OG Dark Magician. And the trap you need to avoid if you are a returning Dark Magician player, if the new support is pulling you back into the game, kicking and screaming, then what you need to avoid as a trap is filling your deck full of cards that read, activate this card if you control a card that doesn't do anything, because that's what that says. If you control a face-up card that does absolutely nothing, special summon one card that also does absolutely nothing from your hand or deck. Oh, what have we got here as well? One between teacher and student. If you control a card that does absolutely bugger all, special summon from your hand, deck, or graveyard, oh, it must be good, one card that does absolutely bugger all. And this is the trap you need to avoid with Dark Magician. You can constantly just be summoning and swapping out and re-summoning and shuffling and playing this turn that takes 20 minutes, playing into every hand trap under the sun, by the way. And then at the end of it all, you don't actually have anything. The cards don't do anything. And so what you need to make sure of if you're playing Dark Magician, and I will be myself, by the way, this isn't a deck list video just yet because I'm going to wait until the new ban list drops and actually playtest in the new ban list against the decks of the format and against the best decks of that format before making a flag in the ground, here's my deck list type video. But that will be coming because I am committed to playing this until it is basically completely no longer viable, or until the cardboard disintegrates in my hand because I've been playing it that much. But the point I'm making here is we do need to try and make sure that when we're building our deck, we have to make sure that we're building our deck in a way where all of these cards that mention Dark Magician and all of these cards that say if you control Dark Magician you can, we have to make sure we're building towards something. We have to make sure we're building towards a viable and coherent strategy that actually puts up disruptions, right, during our opponent's turn. Because if you pass turn on this, then you lose to an MST. Unironically, right? You lose to a Fallen and the Virtuous because one of those getting popped, this is no longer active. And again, this is a simplified, somewhat caricatured version of what somebody might look to do playing this deck. But I just remember when I first got back into Yu-Gi-Oh after taking a break, right? There were new Dark Magician cards, and I fell into this same trap myself. So I know there will be at least one person out there who's going to fall into the exact same trap that I did. Because let's face it, the dream is that we're summoning Dark Magician, and he summons Dark Magician Girl, and she summons another Dark Magician. And like I said, though, this ain't Battle City. The game's moved on. So let me give you some examples of some of the different engines, some of the different bridges, so we can still feel like we're playing Dark Magician, right? I'm not saying we take all of the Dark Magician cards out of our deck, although Loza did famously say Dark Magician is that kind of deck where the more Dark Magician cards you take out of your deck, the better it gets. No comment. But we do actually have good cards now, right? So let's have a look at some of the bridges, some of the ways in which we can use these cards to hopefully actually be meta relevant. Okay. Enough slander, right? How can we use these cards to actually try and win? What can we do with these cards that is meta relevant? So, right off the rip, there is a card in this game known as Troll Unlockbird, and I think many people here can join me in saying it is an absolute horror when it resolves against you, and in a lot of decks, you just outright lose on the spot. Troll, in many cases, single-handedly defines what decks you're allowed to play and what decks you're not allowed to play. Rest in peace, White Forest. Gotta love you. And what we could do is include Dark Magical Curtain as a 3-of, as additional copies of Called By the Draw. What do I mean by that? During the draw phase, we can activate Dark Magical Curtain. We can special summon the OG Dark Magician. So you do 3 and 1 as a package. Add a spell or trap to our hand that mentions Dark Magician. Now bear in mind we're in the draw phase. On resolution, anything to activate? Why yes, thank you for asking. We're going to activate Gaze of Timaeus. We're going to summon the Dragoon. And then what we've just done there is made a draw phase Dragoon. Now, yes, we've gone down a card, to make this Dragoon, but you go neg with Cold Buy anyway, right? So you basically pack it into your deck at the cost of a couple of bricks / garnets. Let's not get away from it. Depending on how the rest of your deck works, Gaze of Timaeus, or definitely the OG Dark Magician, it's going to be a bit of a brick, bit of a garnet. But you might decide, looking at this, my deck is just so miserable into draw that it's worth it. Or maybe a different type of hand trap, right? Maybe you're playing a deck where the only thing that stops you is draw or Ghost Bell. It's basically an additional 3 copies of Cold Buy if you play those types of decks. Is this realistically going to start getting splashed into meta decks just to beat draw? Probably not. But if this is also a synergy piece that combos into the archetype that you are trying to play, then I definitely think there's a lot of mileage in playing the Dark Magical Curtain as a 3, as a way to try and beat draw or other hand traps, provided you've opened an additional starter in your hand. So what else can we do with this? Speaking of draw, by the way, what we can also do is activate the Dark Magical Curtain, special summon Witch of the Black Forest. Now, I mentioned earlier, if this card leaves the field, it is a different card. That's not the correct terminology, but the point of making is that the card's effect can actually activate. So as long as one of the other 4 cards we've got in our hand is enough to try and play the game, what you would do is try and play the game with those other cards. If you're able to play the game without using your Dark Magical Curtain, at the end of whatever it is you've done, at the end of the combo slop you've inflicted on your opponent, for maximum salt generation, activate the Dark Magical Curtain to get yourself a Witch of the Black Forest, link it off. In isolation, you could link it off for an Artemis, which you would play in your deck if this is something you're wanting to try and do. Link it off for the Artemis, triggering the Witch of the Black Forest, adding yourself a copy of Drawl. Now, as per the effect of the Witch of the Black Forest, you can't activate this turn, but that's fine, because you've just gone full combo, you've searched a Drawl, and now you're passing turn with a Drawl in your hand, which is toxic as all hell. I'm not going to lie to you, this is beyond toxic. If this doesn't get Drawl or Witch of the Black Forest banned, I'll be surprised, because this is this just isn't very nice, is it? What else can we do? So let's have a look at what else we can do. We can activate Dark Magical Curtain, special summon an OG Dark Magician. We will use that to get ourselves a Gaze of Timaeus, but we won't activate that just yet. We're going to use our Dark Magician to turn into a D-mod, placing it specifically in the extra monster zone, spoiler alert. Use its effect to search a Magician's Souls. Activate Magician's Souls, sending a Dark Magician Girl. That's just to show that it doesn't matter what we send here. We're not actually playing Dark Magician Girl. Special summon this card, rather than special summon the Dark Magician Girl. And now what we're going to do is link off our D-mod for Gravity Controller. Now we're going to activate our Gaze of Timaeus, special summon a Dragoon, and now under the protection of the Dragoon, we can carry on comboing. Now there might be people looking at this and thinking, who in their right mind is going to want to play Yummy? But here's the thing, once Cool Tune gets hit, I do think Yummy will make a comeback in terms of popularity. Yummy is by no means a bad deck. It just got gatekept by Cool Tune. That's my take on it anyway. I still think Yummy is a fantastic deck. And even with one Snatchy, it was still winning YCSs, right? People won YCSs with one Snatchy. The limit of Cupsy, again, is, it's whatever in a lot of decks. It was Cool Tune rather than the ban list, if you remember, that stopped people from playing Yummy, basically. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use the trigger effect. We get ourselves a Marshmallow, we get ourselves a Cupsy. We're going to send Marshmallow to the graveyard specifically, and we'll special summon our Cupsy using its effect to get us a copy of Surprise. And then we're going to link off our Cupsy or Snatchy. We'll activate the trigger effect to get the minion, use the minion to get ourselves the Cupsy back to the field specifically. Now we're going to activate Surprise, special summon the Marshmallow back to the field, which triggers getting ourselves the Surprise back. And now what you can do, because you might be thinking, hey, I want to play Dark Magician. I don't want to play Yummy. Hey, I hear you. It's okay. Because what we're going to do now is link these two off for the Dark Contract Witch, activate her trigger effect, sending the minion to the graveyard, free real estate. Now, Habakiri is just here to show you that you could search Habakiri, but what you can do instead is search the Illusion of Chaos, because it searches a ritual monster, activate the Illusion of Chaos, searching the new Dark Magician, the Pharaoh's Servant, putting the Illusion of Chaos back into your hand, and now because we've got the Yummy Surprise, bear in mind, this was a 1-card combo, yeah? The minion was the free send from the Cyber's Contract Witch, so now you can reveal this, special summon the Dark Magician, set a spell or a trap that mentions the Dark Magician. Now there's just the one gaze in here, right? Obviously there's other cards you could put in here. This is about the concept rather than the extensive and full combo tutorial that I'll be coming. Like and subscribe. Because what we've just done here is use Dark Magician, comboed into Yummy. Yeah, how many Yummy disruptions do we have here, by the way? Comboed into Yummy, and then, right, because we're just that good at the game, comboed back into Dark Magician. So it's not even like you need to feel bad about having Yummy cards in your deck, because if you use your Dark Magician cards to go full combo under the protection of the Dragoon, why not? Full Yummy combo, and then combo back into your Dark Magician. So let me show you another example of what we can do. Now, the OCG actually had a level of success pairing the new Dark Magician cards with the Roulette engine. TCG has been using Azamina with the Roulette engine, and as it turns out, we can do it all. We can have it all. We don't need to choose. So you would normal the Rod. Remember, this isn't a specific combo Bible or anything like that. Just trying to show you what's possible with the new cards. So you normal the Rod. Rod gets you the curtain. Activate the curtain. And we're going to special summon the OG Dark Magician. It could actually be the Dark Magician girl as well, doesn't actually matter, because we just want to get the gaze of Timaeus from the secondary effect of the curtain. Summon a D-Mod. Use his trigger effect to get ourselves a Souls. I really hope that card doesn't get banned, by the way. And then what we're going to do is we're going to activate Souls, dumping Black Chaos to the graveyard to special summon the Souls. Link the Souls off for Relinquished Anima, very important. And then link Anima and D-Mod for Cross Sheep. Now you would activate the Gaze of Timaeus, shuffling back the D-Mod to special summon the Dragoon. Triggers the Cross Sheep, and now we're safe from Nibiru, and if you've made it this far, then I'm not going to lie to you, you've already won, let's face it. So what you would do is trigger the Cross Sheep, bringing back the Souls, and I'm assuming you're familiar with this line, unless of course you've been living under a rock or just come out of a coma, because what we're going to do is make the Protect Code Talker, and then we're going to go Rod plus Protect Code into the Firewall, using the effect of the Protect Code Talker in the graveyard to banish the Anima, that's why it was important, and the Cross Sheep to special summon the Protect Code specifically under the Firewall Dragon. Very important. Use its effect to bring back the Black Chaos to hand. We're going to send our Black Chaos to the graveyard to get the Mind Shuffle, activating the Mind Shuffle to search for a Skull Archery into Chaos, discarding the Skull Archery into Chaos, using its trigger effect, sending the cost, and getting a copy of the Chaos Ritual. Now what we do is we use Light and Darkness Ritual, bringing itself plus Black Chaos back to hand specifically, because what we're going to do now is link using our Firewall Dragon and our Black Chaos in hand, because for some reason that's something that the Senna card could do, like it wasn't already broken enough, by the way. Use its trigger effect to dump the Abelstar to the graveyard, and now we can special summon our Magician of Dark Chaos by banishing the Black Chaos that's in the graveyard, trigger effect to get ourselves the Dark Magical Curtain back. This is an additional disruption, you can see why. Now what we're going to do is link a card that's going to be banned one day and make another card that's going to be banned one day. Who'd have thunk it? Now we can use this effect to bring back the Diabell Star and the Skull Archfiend of Chaos. Trigger effect of Diabell Star to get ourselves a copy of Deception. Activate Deception, tributing the Skull Archfiend specifically. Stay with me. We get the Hallowed Azamina. We activate the Hallowed Azamina. We're going to special summon Yugioh, sending Deception. Activate the trigger effect of Yugioh to get a copy of Wanted. Now what we're going to do is special summon our Skull Archfiend of Chaos, and we're going to shuffle back. It doesn't actually matter, to be honest, so let's just do these three to show that it really doesn't matter. Because what does matter is that we've got the body, right? The order doesn't matter either. Now that's a fresh copy. The cards we summoned with Shaman and Quartet can't be used as any kind of link material, but this is a fresh copy of the card now. So what we can do is make an IP Masquerena with those two, and then we can use the Hallowed Azamina to put Yugioh back into the extra deck, getting ourselves the Hallowed Azamina back to hand. We can activate it. We can go Chainlink 2, Wanted, adding an additional copy of the Witch, special summoning our Omni-Negate by sending that to the graveyard, and we can then, in case it's not enough, draw another card. Why not? Ignore that we just drew this, right? This would have been another Ojama, because this was a one-card combo, and I'm laughing because that's just silly, right? This is a Dark Magician deck, and it just did all of this from a one-card combo. So if we're willing to just be a little bit, a little bit generous with our definition of what is and isn't Dark Magician, we can commit complete and total war crimes, quite frankly, with a single card. And I think that's the crux, basically, of what I want to get across in this video, and what I'm hoping by now, people who were coming into this new format all excited to play 3 copies of vanilla Dark Magician in the decks, just hold the brakes, right? Remember the trap that we've talked about, and remember, you've just bought loads of Dominus Impulse, you've just bought 3 copies of Dominus Spark, you're probably hoping to win a game, aren't you, right? So just consider as you're building your deck, think about some of the concepts we've discussed, think about some of the things I've showed you, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so that when the new support drops, I will share with you my finalized deck list. Spoiler alert, it'll either be yummy or it'll be something like this. Realistically, possibly a Mitsurugi brew, but I don't know, I'm a bit bored of Mitsurugi. One last thing before I end the video, and so in fact I can't even show you. We've got so many cards in our field that I can't even show you. Maybe I can if I turn this on. During the draw phase, nothing. Main phase, nope. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go like this, and we'll go like this and like this, just to clear up room in the field more than anything else, to be honest, because we've got so much on the field. The reason we've done this is because we can play Pharaoh the Primordial Goddess, because what we can do is use the Mind Shuffle to bounce this back to our hand, because obviously the Mind Shuffle deck, it does require bodies on the field. So that's why the Diabell Star being on the field, by the way, isn't a bad thing, because the deck stops working when you run out of sufficiently high level bodies to bounce back to your hand, and it does need to go back to your hand, so Dragoon doesn't work, right? So it's additional bodies that you can bounce back to your hand, but what you can do is, once this is back in your hand, if it gets sent to the graveyard via Mind Shuffle, then it becomes an additional disruption, because when it's sent to the graveyard via the effect of a spell or a trap, then at that point, what it will do is special summon itself and steal the monster with the highest attack. Now, I'm not actually sold on this. This feels a little bit more win more, it can be a bad draw, and so realistically, even though I have the overframe version, the extended art version, I don't know if I'll be playing this card, but I just wanted to show that everything I just showed you from a 1-card combo, even though that probably felt like more than enough to win. Turns out there was more. Anyway, I'll call it there. Thank you very much for watching. If you've made it this far, consider liking and subscribing because I put a lot more effort into this video than my previous content. And if as a result I find myself getting a little bit more traction on this one, it will encourage me to dig deep and put similar levels of production value into future videos. That's enough yabbering for now anyway. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.